Have you ever stopped to think that there is something that most health professionals do not share during a quick consultation? Something simple that fits in the palm of your hand, that does not require a prescription or expensive exams? Well, that's exactly what I want to talk to you about now. A natural preparation which is taken minutes before closing your eyes at night and which begins to act silently to restore the sharpness of memories, the ability to focus on what matters, and that feeling of having a light and sharp mind. I'm not talking about any pills, no magic formulas. I'm talking about pure biochemistry, from your brain finally getting the nutrients it needs at exactly the moment when its ability to absorb these compounds is at its highest. Let's go by parts. Its brain weighs about 1/300 grams. This represents less than 2% of their total weight. Sounds little, doesn't it? But it consumes almost a quarter of all the energy your body produces throughout the day. It is the most demanding organ you have in metabolic terms, and he never takes a vacation. It is there, working, processing, regulating, storing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without stopping to rest. Now let me ask you a sincere question. When was the last time you slept and woke up with the feeling of having really rested? That feeling that your head is in place, that your thoughts flow easily, that you remember what you read, what you heard, what you did the day before. If you needed more than 2 seconds to answer, the truth is that you already have your answer. Most people who come to me report exactly the opposite. They live immersed in a state that I have learned to call the persistent fog of cognition. This is not dementia. It's not Alzheimer's. It is a gray, silent area, which is getting worse little by little. The brain loses efficiency. Small memory failures become more frequent. Concentration breaks easily. Creativity, that spark that made a difference at work or in hobbies, simply disappears. And the worst of all is that this loss of mental clarity happens so gradually that the person gets used to it. She looks at herself and thinks, it's age, it's stress. It's like that even after 50. No, it is not so. I need you to understand one fundamental thing. Aging does not mean, under any circumstances, losing your ability to think, to remember, to learn. Aging is a biological process. And when you provide your body with what it needs, your brain can operate with transparency, with presence, with depth until you are 80, until you are 90. I follow people in this age group who are more lucid, smarter, and more memorable than many 30-year-olds who cross my path. The difference is not in the genes they inherited. The difference is in what they do every day, and especially in what they do at night, because it is during the night that the most important process happens. You may have heard that sleep is important, but do you know what really goes on inside your skull, while you sleep? Let me describe it, because it changes the way you're going to look at your bed starting today. During the deepest phase of sleep, the brain activates a mechanism called the glymphatic system. Think of it as drainage pipes that run through all of your brain tissue. They open up. A liquid called cerebrospinal fluid begins to circulate forcefully between your neurons, sweeping out all the metabolic garbage that has accumulated throughout the day. Among these residues are proteins that are highly toxic to nerve cells, such as beta amyloid, the same protein that, when it accumulates in excess, appears in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. That is, every night you have a window of opportunity to cleanse your brain, to regenerate, to consolidate the memories of the day, to strengthen the connections between neurons, and to produce the chemical messengers that will make you feel good, focused, intelligent, and present the next day. But this only happens if your sleep is really deep. If you reach those slow wave phases where the glymphatic system works at full throttle. And therein lies the problem of almost all people over the age of 45. Over time, the quality of your sleep quietly worsens. You can even stay in bed for 8 hours, but you are not reaching the deepest and most restorative phases. The time you spend in REM sleep, which is critical for memory consolidation, decreases. Slow-wave sleep fragments. The glymphatic system works at half its capacity. The result? You wake up tired. Your head is heavy. You forget names of people you know well. You forget where you put your keys, your glasses, your cell phone. You start a sentence and lose the thread in the middle. You read a paragraph 3-4 times, and yet you can't keep what was written. This is not freshness. It is not a lack of will. This is biochemistry happening against you. And it is exactly at this point that the spoon I want to present comes in. After many years of clinical research, combining what I learned in the United States with functional medicine, with the most recent discoveries in neuroscience, and with the millennial use of natural compounds that popular wisdom already knew, I arrived at a combination that acts on three fronts at the same time. It improves the quality of your deep sleep. It feeds your neurons during the night window, which is the time when they can most absorb these nutrients. And it activates the mechanisms of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to literally rebuild itself, to create new pathways, to compensate for losses. What is this combination? It is a dessert spoon from a mixture made with three main ingredients. The first is pure honey, preferably that of dark color, such as buckwheat honey or honey. This honey is rich in antioxidants, phenolic compounds, and potassium gluconate. The second is cold-pressed, extra virgin coconut oil, which contains medium-chain triglycerides. The brain uses these triglycerides as emergency fuel when glucose is in short supply. The third is sunflower or soy lecithin, which is rich in phosphatidylcholine. This compound is a direct precursor to acetylcholine, which is the memory neurotransmitter. A spoon, 3 ingredients. Take between 15 and 30 minutes before bedtime. Simple, easy, within anyone's reach. But the mechanisms behind this simplicity are extraordinary. Let me explain each of them calmly. Dark honey is much more than a simple sweetener. It contains a very high concentration of polyphenols, flavonoids, and antioxidants that can cross the blood-brain barrier. This means that these substances arrive intact in the brain tissue. Once inside, they reduce oxidative stress in neurons. And oxidative stress is one of the main causes of accelerated brain aging. But honey has another property that almost no one knows about. It promotes a gradual and controlled release of glucose throughout the night. This prevents sudden drops in blood sugar. And why is this important? Because these falls are largely responsible for fragmenting sleep and preventing the brain from reaching the deepest and most restorative phases. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night around 3 o'clock for no apparent reason? The heart racing, the head spinning, a feeling of alertness that doesn't let you go back to sleep. Well, in the vast majority of cases, this is caused by a drop in glucose. The brain detects that fuel is running low and enters a state of emergency. Honey before bed solves exactly this problem. It keeps the fuel available all night, no spikes, no dips, just stability. Now let's talk about coconut oil. The medium-chain triglycerides it contains, especially caprylic acid and lauric acid, are converted by the liver into ketone bodies. Ketone bodies are the brain's preferred fuel in 2 specific situations: when neurons are inflamed or when glucose uptake is compromised. It is for this reason that ketogenic diets have shown such positive results in patients with cognitive decline. The good news is that you don't have to follow a restrictive ketogenic diet to reap this benefit. A single spoonful of coconut oil before bed already puts your brain in a privileged metabolic position during the night. Neurons receive quality energy to work, to repair themselves, to strengthen the connections that will guarantee their memory the next day. And then we come to the third ingredient, which is the one that excites me the most as a health professional, because it acts directly on the heart of the memory mechanism. The phosphatidylcholine, present in lecithin, is converted in your body into choline, and choline is used to synthesize acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the main neurotransmitter of the cholinergic system, which is the system responsible for the formation, consolidation, and retrieval of memories. Patients with Alzheimer's have exactly a deficit in this system. Cholinergic neurons die first, and memory goes with it. But before you get to Alzheimer's, there's a long period where the cholinergic system isn't dead, it's just undernourished. And when you provide the raw material that it needs, when you provide choline on a regular and consistent basis, that system starts to recover. In 10 days, you already start to notice the difference. It's not a placebo. It is his own brain working with the resources he has always needed and never had. However, I need to be absolutely honest with you. That spoonful won't work in isolation if you keep destroying your brain in other ways every day. I'm not saying you need to change everything at once. I know that radical changes are unsustainable, but there's a huge difference between building something new and at the same time continuing to tear down what you're trying to build. Your body doesn't work like that. Your brain doesn't work like that. Therefore, I will share with you three small but extremely powerful adjustments that radically enhance the effect of this night spoon. The first adjustment is natural light. Specifically, you need to expose yourself to sunlight for the first 30 minutes after waking up. No sunglasses, no glass. The direct light in your eyes. This will calibrate your circadian clock, the famous biological rhythm that regulates the production of melatonin, cortisol, serotonin, and dozens of other hormones and neurotransmitters. A well-adjusted circadian clock is the foundation of deep sleep and working memory. And what do most people do? He wakes up, picks up his cell phone, goes to the bathroom, drinks coffee, starts the day indoors, and only sees the sunlight hours later when he has already left for work or shopping. This is devastating to the brain. The second adjustment is hydration right after waking up. Your brain is made up of approximately 75% water. You spent 7-8 hours without drinking anything. Before anything else, before coffee, before looking at your cell phone, you need to drink at least 300 milliliters of water, preferably with a pinch of unrefined sea salt, because the salt will speed up cellular absorption. This habit, which seems trite, makes a measurable difference in your mental clarity in the early hours of the day. The third setting is what I call the night quiet window. 45 minutes before going to bed, no screens, no cell phones, no television, no computers. The blue light emitted by these devices suppresses the production of melatonin in your brain in a way that takes hours to recover. You can have the best spoon in the world, but if you lie down immediately after using your phone, your deep sleep will be compromised before it even starts. 45 minutes is not a long time, but it is transformative. When you combine these three adjustments with the nighttime spoon, you create a brain environment so different from what most people are experiencing that the results become noticeable in 10 days and profound in 30 days. I have already applied this protocol to patients in their 50s, 60s, 70s. People who came to the office saying that they felt losing their minds, that they were afraid, that they looked at their parents with Alzheimer's and trembled when thinking about their own future. And in less than a month, they reported changes that I need to see to believe. The memory for names has returned. Concentration in meetings, which was previously impossible, has become natural. Vivid dreams, which indicate quality REM sleep, have come back to me. The willingness to wake up, which had not existed for years, reappeared. The human brain has a capacity for regeneration that traditional medicine has underestimated for decades. Neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to create new neural connections, to reorganize circuits, to compensate for losses, exists until very late in life. Science has already confirmed this. What we need to do is stop treating brain aging as a death sentence and start treating it as a process that can be influenced, modified, and largely reversed. And I need to talk about something that goes beyond biochemistry, because health is never just biochemistry. Memory is not just a neurological process. She is her identity. It is the continuity of your story. It is the ability to know who you are, where you came from, what you have built, who you love, and what really matters in your life. When memory begins to fail, something much deeper than simple forgetting happens. There is a silent erosion of the sense of self. I've sat in front of 60-year-old men and women who forgot a grandchild's name for a second and cried, not because of forgetfulness itself, for what that forgetfulness represented, for fear of what could be coming, for the terror of becoming a burden to those they love. This fear is real. He deserves a real response, not an empty promise, not an expensive supplement, full of exotic ingredients that no serious study proves. An answer based on science, real physiological mechanisms, decades of clinical practice and honesty. The spoon I presented today is not the answer to everything, but it's a real start. It's a concrete gesture you can take tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, today. And this matters because one of the biggest diseases I see in doctors' offices has no technical name. I call it paralysis for the perfect. The person knows that he needs to change. He knows that he needs to do something for his brain, for his health, for his sleep. But they are waiting for the right moment, the perfect diet, the ideal supplement, the complete routine. And while waiting, time passes, the brain ages, connections are lost. Starting with a spoon is an act of respect for yourself. It's telling your body and your brain, I'm paying attention, I care, I'm going to do what I can with what I have right now. And this gesture, repeated consistently, becomes a habit. The habit turns into biology. Biology becomes who you are, how you think, how you remember, how you live. I talk about these things with such conviction because I myself am a result of them. I am over 70 years old. I operate, teach, write, travel, give interviews, record videos, attend to patients. Not because I'm a genetic exception, but because I do for my brain exactly what I'm teaching you to do for yours. Every day, with discipline, with intention. And I want you to understand as well that what happens to the brain during the night is only half the story. The other half is what happens during the day. With what you think, with what you read, with the challenges you accept or avoid. The brain grows when it is challenged. It atrophies when it is spared. So at the same time that you nourish your brain at night, you need to challenge it during the day. Learn something new, a foreign language, a musical instrument, a manual skill you've never tried. Solve crossword puzzles, play chess, have deep conversations, disagree with someone with arguments. Write, read books that require effort on your part. These activities are not hobbies. They are active neurological maintenance. The brain that learns is the brain that lasts. And I need to talk about one last thing before I finish, about the role of the gut in all of this. The gut-brain axis is one of the most revolutionary fields of research in neuroscience today. 90% of your body's serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter of well-being and regulated sleep, is produced in the gut. 70% of your immune system lives in the gut, and there are more neurons in your digestive system than in your entire spinal cord. Raw honey, which is part of the night spoon, has probiotic properties. It feeds the beneficial bacteria that live in your gut. These bacteria produce neurotransmitters, reduce systemic inflammation, and modulate your mood and cognition. It's one more mechanism, one more reason why this ancient ingredient, used by humanity for millennia, continues to be validated by modern science. When you take care of the gut, you take care of the brain. When you take care of the brain, you take care of who you are. It's a virtuous cycle, and it starts with small, consistent, intentional gestures. A spoonful before bed, 30 minutes of sunlight in the morning, a glass of water when you wake up, 45 minutes without a screen before bed. This is not a demanding regime. That's respect for biology that keeps you alive and present. And in 10 days, if you do it consistently, you'll notice something that can't be measured in any blood test, but that you'll feel on your own skin. A different clarity when waking up, an easier time to remember, a stronger presence in conversations, a feeling that that fog has gone away. It's not magic. It's your brain working exactly as it was designed to work. And this, in my opinion, after more than 40 years of taking care of people, is one of the greatest riches that a human being can have. Not money, not titles, not material goods. The ability to be present, the ability to remember, the ability to think clearly, the ability to be fully yourself. Don't let it slip away without fighting for it. Don't let laziness, routine, tiredness, or resignation rob you of what can still be recovered. You have an extraordinary brain. He just needs you by his side. Start tonight with a spoon. And if you want to continue learning how to take care of your brain, your memory, and your longevity with the depth you deserve, don't miss the next video. It's showing up on your screen right now. Click and check it out because what was prepared there will change the way you see aging.